Hello, and welcome to the Lighten Up podcast with Lauren Polly, your invitation for living on the lighter side of life. I'm Lauren Polly, and I'm delighted that you have chosen to join me today for episode 213, How to Use Your Gifts. I was watching TV and was inspired. This isn't a rare thing for me. I kind of find inspiration everywhere. It's all around us if you just tune on in. One of the characters on TV was talking about her gifts, and she was talking to her daughter who has similar empathic, delicious abilities. And she said, You know what? Knowing how to use your gifts is just as important, if not more important, than recognizing that you have them. And I loved that quote so much. It just popped open this space in me of, wow, we have so many conversations and we spend so much of our self exploration on what am I good at? What do I have to offer? What can I create? We're really looking at what our gifts, our talents, our abilities, and capacities are. That sometimes we neglect the more important second half of that conversation of, and how do I use them? How do I actually take these things and apply it? What is it that you have to work with that thus far you've been number one, unwilling to acknowledge or unclear on? And then number two, taking that second step of saying, now that I realize that this is easy for me, it's fun for me, I'm quite good at it, how do I put it to use for myself? And I think one of the big things with that conversation that always comes up inevitably of who I'm talking to or what coaching client I am working with is this thing of, am I allowed to use those gifts? It's almost this energy of having something be so easy for you, something so natural for you that because it is so, that it's unfair to put it to practice. Or heaven forbid you actually make money off of it and put it to use in your life. It's almost like having a superpower where no one else has it, and because of that you feel guilty for using it. Or you feel like because you don't have to work hard that you didn't earn it. And it's so fascinating to me because gifts are that. They are there to be utilized. Imagine getting an amazing gift for Christmas and then just like staring at it. No, someone gave that to you for a reason. You have it for a reason. You have it to enjoy it. And if we were all willing to not only take inventory of what our gifts are, but actually start applying them to our life and coming out of this weird thing of, yeah, I have this, but I don't really want to like wield this gift or utilize it or put it to use in my life, we're always going to be at the short end of the stick. We're always going to feel a little bit empty and a little bit broken because we're not actually claiming all of us. We're also not actually pushing into that arena where, you know what, I'm actually going to have all of me included in my living. And how often have you created something, a relationship, a business, a creative pursuit, what have you, even a day to day interaction where you weren't actually including all of yourself? You're only letting part of yourself be seen. You're only speaking to part of yourself. And not in a way where you were kind of just presenting what needed to be in the moment, but you were neglecting part of you. We've all had those experiences, and take a moment just to realize, how did that actually feel in that moment? When you went on a date and only showed him one side because you were afraid of actually bringing everything to the table. Or you go to work and you put on your work hat and you leave out all the delicious giddiness that you have at home and all those qualities. Or vice versa, where you are in your personal relationships and you leave out the abilities and the talents that you use at work. We are living a lot of times very piecemealed existence, and that can lead to a lot of pain points. It can make you feel unfulfilled, a little empty, like I said, a little bit broken. What if part of the remedy to that, the elixir of that, was really not only in your own space going, wow, I'm actually really good at these things. These are gifts that I have to share, but actually putting them to use in your life so that you can show up as all of you. You can create an entire living around the gifts that you have. It's funny, I was reading another book and got some inspiration for that, which goes right into this one. It was a woman who was saying, oh, she has a lot of these, she was a psychic, she has a lot of these psychic empathic abilities. And someone was giving her crap for using it in her business and making money off of it, right? Like, wow, that's kind of unfair that you just have this. And, shouldn't that be a gift that you share with the world for free? I think if you're a healer or a caregiver at all, you can probably relate to that, that my gifts can't be monetized, heaven forbid. It was so fascinating, her response, though. She was like, no one says that about Beyonce. Nor do they say it about like NFL players. These are people who have gifts and they know it and they use it. And it's not like they're standing in the park singing for free. They're like, you know what? I'm going to build a career out of this. I know that by me engaging my gifts and utilizing it and building it into my living, so that my life is actually centered around me being all of me and giving that gift to the world, that I am able to receive from it and other people receive from it as well. That is like the curse of the healer, thinking that if you have these gifts, especially if they are ones that are traditionally looked at something that shouldn't be charged for, that it gets really hard to build it into your living in a way where you can actually monetize it, or sometimes including it in a business. Or including it at work where you have natural tendencies that lend yourself to certain roles. There are people who put those gifts to use, and there are those that constantly back down from them. And this invitation today is not just for you to start taking inventory of what you're good at, what's easy for you, what's innate and natural, but actually taking that added step of, cool, now how do I use them? How do I apply them? And how can that actually lead to a greater sense of fulfillment because I'm showing up as all of me and putting all of me on the table here? The lie of the healer and the caregiver is that the gifts actually are just that. They show up randomly. You can't actually build a living off of them. You can't monetize them. I really invite you to look at those perspectives and ask yourself, is that true? And for me, that quote from that book was really helpful of like, wow, well, that is true. There are a lot of people who make their entire living off of the gifts that they were given. So why can't I do that with mine? It's a different perspective shift. This is something that's so fascinating, just speaking from my own self. One of my amazing gifts is my empathic abilities. I always call them the hidden superpower, my awareness of other people. And it is something that I didn't even realize, number one, that I really had. And then once I started to realize it, I started to realize where I had really built a career for myself in my medical profession off of that. I'm a therapist, I'm a caregiver, and a lot of times I utilize my empathetic abilities to connect with my clients and to actually give greater care and better therapy to them. Then it was interesting because once I started to go, oh, wait, I'm already using it, I started looking at creating my coaching business a couple years ago using those same skills. And for some reason, that created a really uncomfortable rub in my world of like, that's something that should be given for free. That's not something I can charge for. Or am I actually allowed to have that much ease in my life where I get to do what I love, what I'm innately good at, what I'm gifted at, and actually receive money and be supported along the way? I say that only because I know a lot of y'all listening have similar abilities. You're also creating similar things in your life. There's a lot of entrepreneurs, healers, coaches, and caregivers who listen to my podcast each week. I'd also invite you to broaden your perspective of what a caregiver is. If you're in business, guess what? You're caregiving your business and your customers. There is a wider breadth. If you're a creator, you are caregiving your creations. It's so fascinating to actually look at where you can put your innate God-given talents, so to speak, to use and actually create a living that includes all of you and allows you to stop this force that a lot of us do. We're trying to build skills constantly, thinking that's what's actually going to bring us forward in life. Personal skills, life skills, business skills. Yes, absolutely, those things on a practical level are required. But what if one of the greatest creative powers you can start to possess and harness is not just knowing what your personal gifts are, but actually being able to utilize them. So, yes, you do the practical work of building your skills and your knowledge base, building your resume, but you also go, you know what, innately, I'm really good with people. Wow. I got in trouble all the time in school because I was always chit-chatting with people and they were always talking to me. But you know why that is? Because I have a natural ability to get people to open up. I really like hearing their stories. Well, guess what? Maybe you're suited for a career as a podcast where you do interviewers. There are different ways to start looking at this. Where have you not acknowledged the gifts that you have? First of all, and what would it take to start to explore that deeper and broader and more fully and more than that? And also then take this next step of, okay, now I know I'm good with people. I know I can kind of see things other people can't. I'm really great with details. I'm not a detail person. I'm a big picture person, whatever it is for you. And make a list of that just like you would your skill sets, your resume, whatever, and start looking at how you can apply those to your living. How can you monetize them? How can you use them in your personal relationships so that you actually get to feel more of a wealth of being when you show up, where more of you gets included? If you have a natural ability to really be with nature, and that in of itself just is such a healing, delicious energy for you, how do you utilize that gift? It's not just going, wow, I really have a quality that suits when I'm in the natural world. Well, what if putting yourself out there more and building living around that actually created more ease for you and gifted to you, to the planet, and to the people in your life? It's so fascinating how so many of us don't have honesty with self to see what we're good at, first of all, and how that once we do, we resist it because it's too easy, it's not fair, it's unearned, all of that stuff starts to come up. Or that in some way that's wrong and I have to force myself into some picture of what I should be. Instead of actually just allowing everything that's innately you to be there, those are your gifts. What's easy, what's fun, what's innate, what makes you feel more relaxed, that's you, those are your gifts. How then do you use that as raw material to create a living that includes all of you? This is a conversation, like I said, it's very varied. I mean, you can use this into job creation if you're looking at reinventing your career, if you're building a business for yourself, if you're building a relationship where you just don't feel the depth of connection to people. It may be because you're not putting your gifts to use. More than anything, what I hear from people is that what wakes them up at night is feeling unfulfilled. That there's that kind of deep-seated fear that, oh my God, I'm going to go through most of my life and not actually show up as me or create anything that is just me. And to me, this conversation, not just recognizing that you are gifted, but actually taking the action and applying those gifts to every aspect of your life, that is the elixir that will actually take that pain point away. When you are able to be you, to ease into that and to use that as the building block to your life, navigating anything and everything gets really easy from there. And that sense of fulfillment of knowing that you are here for a purpose, but guess what? You're actually creating that and living that every moment and enjoying it and receiving from it along the way. I mean, what greater gift is there from that? Listen to this one again. Please take inspiration from it. Take that inventory list of what you are good at, what is easy for you, what lights you up. Those are your gifts. How can you actually include more of them in every aspect of your life? And start to look at where those limiting perspectives show up of, you know what, I can't charge for it. It's not okay to do this. That person won't accept it. Notice where those things come up and block you from acknowledging the depths of that gift and actually utilizing it and having it present in every moment, and start to work your way out of it. If you would like some added help with that, I invite you to apply for a one-to-one sit down with me. You can go to laurenpolly.com/apply. We'll dig into this a bit deeper. This is one of my specialities, I would say, is recognizing the gifts in others, allowing them to claim it and own it for themselves. And then the real fun begins when we start to look at how to build an entire living business, creations, and relationships, self-worth around those gifts. Have an amazing week, and as always, I will chat with you next Tuesday.